And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the heart of the Inland Empire, right here in sunny Southern California, it's Robert Cardoza Live, where we talk about politics, money, and you. This is the intersection of business and politics. And now here's your host, Robert Cardoza. And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And we have got a fantastic show for you. You know, we've been off for a couple of weeks. This is our third live show since we went off for the holidays. And boy, it's been fun. You know, the first day I lost my voice after about half an hour or so. Hopefully that's not going to happen to us again today. But right now, I want you to know that on today's show, we're going to talk about what's in the news. New legislation, the IRS loses, and then we'll continue our new segment. The rest of the story, it's a tribute to the late, great Paul Harvey. And I'm going to discuss your business and how it might make an unwise tax move. I'm also going to be talking about oddities in the news. Today, actually, I'm going to talk to you about California, and they're targeting the dairy cows to combat global warming. You're not going to believe this. You know, the things that they come up with, there's a lot of things going on. Also, later on in the show, we'll have our own Joel Saltzman, Dr. Wireless. He'll be here. He'll be talking about news and what's brand new in the wireless technology field. We'll get to all of that. But right now, I want you to know that at 3:02 p.m. Pacific time, it is currently 64 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. That's down from 65 degrees, and it's on its way to 43 degrees. So you know what? It looks like we finally got out of summer, and we're in a winter. That's a good thing for us, I think, or at least we think that it's a good thing for us. And let's talk about the 10 things that you need to know that are in the news for Wednesday today. Your daily look at the late-breaking news, upcoming events, and the stories that are going to be talked about all day today and probably tomorrow and the next day, too, for all that matters. You know what? First up the top is Trump is filling out his cabinet. The president-elect is enlisting a trio of nominees with deep ties to Washington and Wall Street, including former Goldman Sachs executive Steve Mnuchin as Treasury Secretary. Also, Season of Glory ends in tragedy. The once downtrodden Brazilian club Chapecoense was in the midst of a remarkable soccer campaign before its plane crashed into a muddy Colombian hillside. Well, the OSU attacker stayed under law enforcement radar. The case of the Somali-born student who carried out the car and knife attack underscores the difficulty of stopping lone wolves bent on violence. Well, evacuees recount the flight from wind-whipped wildfires. It was like we were in hell, and Mulholland, who was forced to flee the badly damaged resort city of Gatlinburg, Tennessee. It's amazing what's going on out there. It's also threatening Dollywood. And you know what? It was who's playing tribute to Fidel Castro? Well, you know what? Presidents from 7 nations joined other regional leaders and tens of thousands of Cubans for a memorial service in Havana's Plaza of the Revolution. And this guy was a thug. He was a dictator. He was a murderer. I don't know why. I hope the heck we're not sending anybody out there. And Obama's decorate for final Christmas White House. You know what? Wreaths have been hung, lights have been strung, and a towering fir tree is in place in the Blue Room. Yeah. Well, the world's oldest living person, guess what? She turns 117 years of age. Emma Moreno of Brebania, Italy, marks the birthday by blowing out all the candles on her cake. This had to be like a forest fire, right? Well, where wildlife mystery is unfolding, I can tell you that the size of a large caribou herd in Alaska's Arctic region has dropped by more than 50% in 3 years, and no one yet knows why. Well, fresh laurels for Oscar contender. Manchester by the Sea is named Best Film by the National Board of Review, a step on the road to the Academy Awards. And then finally, which distinction Buckeyes could hold? Well, Ohio State, second in the college football playoff rankings, is in position to become the first team to be selected to the Final Four without winning its conference. Now give that some thought, if you will. Now, you know what? Let's get into some more in-depth news here. Let's see if we can't give you a few more details about the things that are going on in the world today. Let's start off with, the hunt begins for the cause of the trash that wipes out the Brazilian team. Colombia's worst air crash in 2 decades snuffed out a storybook run by Brazilian soccer team. The authorities are digging in, trying to figure out why a chartered jetliner crashed in the Andes, killing about 6 of the 77 people that were aboard. Killing all but 6 of the 77 people were aboard. 61 people died on this crash. The country's aviation agency said yesterday, that the British Aerospace 146 cockpit voice recorder and flight data recorder had been found among the wreckage strewn over the mountainside and were already being studied by experts. Initially, Colombian officials said that the short-haul jet suffered an electrical failure, but there was also heavy rain when the crew declared an emergency and the plane disappeared from radar just before 10 p.m. on Monday. Authorities also said that they were not ruling out the possibility the aircraft ran out of fuel minutes before it was to land in Jose Maria Cordova Airport outside Medellin. A report given to researchers by a surviving flight attendant. Officials said that they hope to interview her today. We'll see what happens with that. What a sad thing. That's all you can say. If it weren't for sad news, it'd be no news, I guess. Well, Trump's cabinet is draining the swamp, or are they diving right in? I'm not sure. Donald Trump promised to drain the swamp in the nation's capital. Instead, he's diving right on into it. So far, the president-elect is tapping people with deep ties to Washington and Wall Street as he fills out his cabinet, turning to two power centers that he vilified as greedy, corrupt, and out of touch with Americans during his White House campaign. His choices have won praise from Republicans, relieved by his more conventional choices, but could risk angering voters who rallied behind his calls for upending the political system. Two of Trump's early picks are wealthy financial industry insiders with ties to the kinds of institutions that he rallied against as a candidate. Elaine Chao, his choice for transportation secretary and an accomplished political figure in her own right, is married to Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, blending family and power and political power in a way that Trump fiercely criticized campaign rival Hillary Clinton for. Jeff Sessions, Trump's selection for Attorney General, has spent 2 decades in the Senate, and Tom Price, his Health and Human Services nominee, is a 6-term congressman. Well, the gap between Trump's campaign rhetoric and his governing decisions is most striking regarding his emerging economic team. On Wednesday, he announced that he planned to nominate former Goldman Sachs executive Steven Mnuchin as his Secretary of the Treasury and billionaire investor Wilbur Ross to lead the Commerce Department. As a candidate, Trump said Wall Street had created tremendous problems for the country. He included the CEO of Goldman Sachs in a television advertisement that accused global financial powers of having robbed our working class. Well, you know what? He seemed to be taking an about face on some of this stuff. I wish I knew where he was going. I wish I knew what he was thinking. That'd probably be the best way to say that, right? Well, you know what? We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the southern plagues, drought, food, fire, and now killer storms. I'll tell you all about that right after these brief messages. Do not go away.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchase high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson & Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson & Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
You know, it helps if I turn the microphone on. I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live at the intersection of politics and, you know, we're talking about politics, news, and you. A little discombobulated here. I was talking, didn't realize my microphone hadn't even been turned on yet. So I want to apologize to you guys for that. But you know what? We're talking about the news. Let's get right to it. The southern plagues, well, drought, flood, fire, and now killer storms. Tornadoes that dropped out of the night sky killed 5 people in 2 states and injured at least a dozen more early on Wednesday, which is today, adding to a seemingly biblical onslaught of drought, flood, and fire plaguing the South. The storms tore through just as firefighters began to get control of wildfires that killed 7 and wiped out more than 150 homes and businesses around the resort town of Gatlinburg, Tennessee. In Alabama, the weather system dumped more than 2 inches of rain in areas that had been parched by months of choking drought. At least 10 confirmed twisters damaged homes, splintered barns, and toppled trees in parts of Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Tennessee. The National Weather Service said and then tombstones were even knocked over in the cemetery behind the badly damaged Rosalie Baptist Church near where 3 people died in northeastern Alabama. It looks like the rapture happened up here, said church member Steve Hall, referring to the end times belief of many Christians. We are thinking the Lord's trying to get our attention, said the pastor, Roger Little. The National Weather Service was assessing damage from multiple possible tornadoes across the region. At least 5 hit Alabama, and 3 more struck southern Tennessee, and 1 each was confirmed in Louisiana and Mississippi. You know what? What a possible thing. There's also a possible tornado was spotted on the ground today, a few miles from Atlanta, and flights were briefly delayed at the city's main airport, but no major damage has actually occurred. 3 people were killed and 1 person critically injured in a mobile home after an apparent twister hit by Rosalie about 115 miles northeast of Birmingham, said Jackson County Chief Deputy Rocky Heron. Well, you know what? Makes you glad if you're lucky enough to live in Southern California. It makes you really glad that you do. I can tell you that's for sure. You know what? Let's talk about the latest here. You know, Pence says that he's eager to work with Congress. I wonder if it's going to be the other way around as well. You know, Vice President elect Mike Pence says that he is eager to work with Congress to move forward as President-elect Donald Trump's agenda to get this economy moving again, rebuild our military, and keep the promises that Trump made to the American people. Now, Pence, a former member of Congress, was at the Capitol today for private meetings with Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, the Republican from Kentucky, and House Speaker Paul Ryan, the Republican from Wisconsin. Before his meeting with Ryan, Pence invoked a phrase that he used during a previous Capitol visit. My word to members of the House and Senate is buckle up. Pence says he and Trump are ready to go to work on day one with an America First agenda that says we'll jumpstart the economy and enhance America's standing in the world. You know what? Let's hope that that's exactly what happens. I can tell you this, though. Air conditioning company Carrier Corporation says an agreement to keep jobs in Indianapolis was doable because President-elect Donald Trump has promised to create an improved, more competitive U.S. business climate. In a statement just today, the company also says incentives offered by the state were an important consideration. Carrier made a deal with Trump and Vice President-elect Mike Pence to keep hundreds of jobs in Indiana. The company says that it will continue to manufacture gas furnaces and will retain engineering and headquarters staff. Trump spent much of his campaign pledging to keep companies like Carrier from moving jobs overseas. Still, Carrier stresses that the deal in no way diminishes our belief in the benefits of free trade and that the forces of globalization will continue to require solutions. Well, you know what? If you can save the jobs, then more power to it, right? I think so. Well, yeah, I can tell you this. There are a lot of things. There's details that are hazy about whether or not Trump saved all those jobs or not. We'll see what the actual plans are and how it works out in the end of this. But I can tell you this: conflict rules hardly the same for presidents and others. Representative David McKinley has sold his West Virginia engineering and architecture firm, but it still bears his name, and that earned the Republican congressman a rebuke from the House Ethics Committee. President-elect Donald Trump has built an international property management, real estate, and branding business around his name. There appears to be no consequence for that. When it comes to ethics, not all government employees and elected officials are regulated equally. What's a serious matter for a second-term congressman with a small business has no equivalent for a president with a multi-billion-dollar empire. The government's legislative and judicial branches are governed by well-established rules, but there's far less clarity about what a president can and cannot do. Conflict of interest provisions are generally looser, though Democrat Jimmy Carter, Republican George W. Bush, and many other recent presidents took care to separate themselves from their businesses. You can bet that that's the case. I can tell you, though, that Trump tweeted today that he would soon announce his plans to step back from his company while he is president. He wrote that legal documents are being created which will take him completely out of the business operations. Many questions still remain. Will he retain the ownership stake? Will, as a top aide, Kellyanne Conway suggested his adult children own and run the business? If they do take over the Trump organization, will they continue to be involved in the Trump's administration as they have been? Well, we'll see what actually happens. There'll be more details coming out. You know what? All you can say is the guy is trying. Now, we have to take another short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about a lighter thing. We're going to talk about the IRS Loses. And the first case up today is, a missed audit deadline. We're going to talk about that right after these brief messages. Do not go away. We'll be right back, folks.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful in visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make the interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
The story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 3:23 p.m. Pacific time. It's currently 65 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, that's down from 66, not much, right? But it's on its way to 42 degrees. So you know what? Winter is here. And you know what? If you're listening to us on our globally syndicated network and you're in New York City, well, it's 54 degrees and it's overcast. And if you're in Chicago, Illinois, listening to our show, it's 37 degrees and it's overcast there too. But right now, let's talk about something that'll put a smile on your face. Let's talk about the IRS Loses. And our first case up is missed audit deadlines. You know, a company declared Chapter 11 bankruptcy but continued operating. It then filed a later year return, making a Section 505B request under the bankruptcy code. Now, this required the IRS to select a return for audit within 60 days or accept it as being accurate. Now, instead, after the 60 days had passed, the IRS said that $7 million more was due on it. The IRS says that the 505B request was invalid because published IRS rules require it to be sent to the IRS district director, not to be filed with the return. Well, they went to court. That's what the judge said. The IRS's argument was absurd, as it had earlier abolished the position of district director. So filing that request with the return was the correct action, and the tax is actually lifted. Now, in case you didn't hear me, that was $7 million that the IRS wanted to get from them. Well, Here's a case the IRS conceded. You know, you've heard me say it many times. They only concede when they're pretty sure that they can't prevail in tax court. In this case, bank deposits need not be reported as cash payments. Now, let me explain. Businesses are required to report all cash payments larger than $10,000 to the IRS on Form 8300. Now, that's the report of cash payments over $10,000 received in a trade or business. So here's a recent case. A car dealer sold cars using independent contractor salespeople. After a sale was made, the salesperson would deposit the sales proceeds into the dealer's bank account. Well, the IRS's legal opinion was the receipt of a bank deposit is not the receipt of cash, since the dealer never literally received cash in hand. The reporting requirement didn't apply. Well, here's the thing. If they could have gone to court, they would have gone to court. They didn't go to court because they couldn't win in court. That's why they conceded that. Well, how about this? The IRS loses. They cannot sue to collect a tax that's already subject to a refund suit. Let me explain. A company failed to remit payroll taxes, and the IRS imposed personal liability for these taxes on its owners. Now, they paid a portion of the tax, then properly sued for a refund, contesting their liability, filing their suit in Kentucky, where they actually lived. Now, the IRS then filed a separate suit in Louisiana, where the company operated, to enforce collection of the assessed tax. The owners protested, went to court. This is what the judge said. When a tax liability is being contested in a refund suit in one court, the IRS cannot file a collection action for the same tax in another court. The Louisiana suit? Yeah, you got it. Dismissed, as it should be, right? Yeah. How about this? You've heard me talk about it many times. Wouldn't you like to be a fly on the wall when the IRS is doing stuff? Well, you know what? It's not like it's tax court cases, but it is an awful lot like the Twilight Zone. I can tell you that. You know what? You're gonna find this interesting, or at least I hope you're gonna find this interesting. I hope you find the whole show interesting. In this case, when the IRS asks you to extend the statute of limitations, and they do that quite often. Generally, the IRS must make an assessment of additional tax within 3 years from the date a tax return is actually filed. Now, if the tax return is being examined, the IRS may ask you to extend the statute of limitations for a period of 1 year or longer until it actually completes the examination. Now, if you refuse, the IRS is going to make an assessment based on what it thinks you owe, and you'll then have the right to file a petition with the United States Tax Court. Now, here's a strategy for you. If the IRS has failed to identify a significant tax issue, such as your failure to report a large chunk of income, it may be a good idea to refuse to extend that statute of limitations. Giving the IRS more time to pursue the tax audit could mean that it'll use that extra time to develop additional tax issues that could cost you a lot of money, or even involve defending yourself against criminal charges. So consult your attorney, of course. But sometimes that turns out to be a really wise way for you to go. And that's kind of what you want to be thinking about when you're doing these things. Well, how about this? The IRS cannot seize a home debtors haven't owned for 20 years. Sounds odd, right? Well, listen to this. Thomas and Joan Town lost their home in a mortgage foreclosure 20 years ago, but the home's buyer let them stay in it as tenants, as did a succession of later buyers, with the current owner being the town's friend, the lawyer Peter Swan. Now, the towns now owe back taxes. The IRS put a lien on the home to collect the tax bill, saying that they really own it, with Swan's title to it being a sham on their behalf. Swan protested, went to court. This is what the judge said. The towns unquestionably lost ownership of the home 20 years ago, so a lien cannot be placed upon that home to pay their taxes. And if there was any impropriety between them and Swan, the IRS didn't show it. So Swan escapes that lien. And that, my friends, is the way it should be. The IRS just keeps trying to flex their muscles. They don't try to play by the same games that you and I do. They just keep trying to change the rules in the middle of the game. Now, don't go away. We're going to go on a short break. When we come back, I'm going to ask you a few questions. We're going to talk about, did your business make an unwise tax move? You're going to be a little surprised. I'll tell you all about it right after these brief messages. Don't go away, folks.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchase high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 3:33 p.m. Pacific time, still 65 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. It's on its way down to 42 degrees. And if you're listening to us on our globally syndicated network and you're in Paris, France, you're lucky for one thing, but it's 27 degrees and it's clear. That's cold, folks. And if you're in Rome, Italy, it's 37 degrees and it's also clear, but that's also cold. But if you're either place, you know, what a wonderful time you're probably going to be having. But you know what? I want to talk to you about, did your business make an unwise tax move? And let's discuss this for a little bit. You know, many of the tax decisions that you have to make during the course of your business and on the business's tax returns are more of an art than of a science. There are gray areas in the law that complicate the process, decisions about how to report transactions and whether to make elections may later prove to be wrong. Some mistakes can be easily corrected by just filing an amended return or just making changes on a new return, while some may require IRS approval. Now, unfortunately, sometimes no correction is possible at all. Now, here are some tax areas in which businesses often have to make changes and what you can do. First of all, let's talk about return errors. If a business discovers that it failed to take a deduction or credit or to report income as required, a correction can be made on an amended tax return. Now, generally, the deadline for this action is 3 years from the return's due date. However, if the return was filed after the original due date, it was late, or filed pursuant to an extension, then the deadline is 3 years from the date the return was actually received by the IRS. Not the date that it was mailed, but received. And, in most cases, the government will not agree to extend the period for filing an amended return, regardless of the business's circumstances. Now, take note, a number of the correction procedures explained are going to entail the filing of an amended return, so keep that in mind. Now, changing elections, here's the thing. Events subsequent to filing a return may prove a prior tax election to have been unwise. Can it be changed? Well, it depends on the subject matter. Now, here's some examples. Let's talk about expensing first. Small businesses can elect to expense the cost of equipment up to a fixed dollar amount, $112,000, rather than depreciating it over the period of years. Now, expensing gives an immediate tax benefit as long as the business is profitable. Now, companies in a loss position often a greater overall benefit by not making this election, so that the depreciation deductions can be spread over future years when hopefully these deductions mean more because there's profits there that can be offset. And there's a fix for it. A business can revoke a prior expensing election for any reason by filing an amended return. Currently, no IRS approval is needed for that, but you do have to be careful. The option applies only through last year because starting now, such a revocation will require IRS consent, which will be granted only in extraordinary circumstances that will be decided on a case-by-case basis. So the flip side of this, though, small businesses that have failed to elect expensing, even though eligible to do so, can make a retroactive election without IRS approval. So keep that in mind. Now, the installment sales, when payments for a sale of property are received in more than 1 year, gains reported on the installment basis spread over the years in which the payments are going to be received. A business can, however, elect to report all of the gain in the year of the sale simply by entering the full gain on the return for that year. Such an election is helpful when there are offsetting capital losses to eat up that sales. That's when you want to be thinking about it. Certainly, you want to be talking to a licensed professional to help you. There's a problem, though. C corporations can carry back capital losses for 3 years, so the transactions after the year of the installment sale could miss out on tax sheltering. The fix for this? A business that failed to make the election to report all the gain in the year of the sale can do so retroactively only with IRS consent. You must request a private letter ruling and pay the IRS a user fee. Usually it's about $10,000, by the way, but it can be as low as $625. Now, a business will probably be allowed to make the change if the original action was counter to the owner's instructions to his or her accountant, but not be allowed in most of the cases. But if they didn't follow the directions or instructions, that's kind of it. Now, let me give you an example of that. The IRS has refused to allow a change that became desirable after the IRS disallowed a net operating loss. Now, how about changing accounting methods? That's an important issue. Some actions, such as how inventory is valued, reflect how a company accounts for an item on the return. Often, when a change is desirable, it can be made through a change in accounting method. Some changes are treated as automatic. The company simply files Form 3115 as an application for change in the accounting method with the IRS for the desired year of change and implements that change. Now, some changes, however, such as a change in the method or basis used to value inventory require IRS consent as well as the payment of a $2,500 user fee. Again, the same form is filed, but the business must await the IRS approval to take any action. And how about unclaimed depreciation? Depreciation is a write-off that is deemed to have been taken where the business is qualified to do so, even if the deduction was not on the return. When a business discovers that it should have claimed depreciation but did not, whether it reported an incorrect amount because of the math error or just did not claim anything, but should have, it can correct that situation so as not to lose the write-off. So the fix for math errors made on prior returns or prior years, that can still be amended. Just file a mid-return with the correct depreciation allowance. But if a change amounts to a change in accounting method, for example, any change in depreciation method or recovery period, the Form 3115, this is classified as an automatic change in accounting methods for which no IRS consent is actually going to be necessary. If there is a negative adjustment, meaning that you claimed less than you should have, the additional amount is deducted in full on the year of change. If there is a positive adjustment, you claim more than you should have, up to, let's say, $25,000, the taxpayer may elect to account for the adjustment in the year of change. A positive adjustment of $25,000 or more is spread over 4 years, beginning with the year of change. So kind of keep that in mind. Well, how about retirement plan errors? Many of the rules for tax-deferred qualified retirement plans are highly technical and continually changing. Witness the more than 900 pages of the Pension Protection Act of 2006. It is a challenging issue for businesses to keep plans in compliance with rules and regulations, so making mistakes is too easy. The IRS has set up the Employer Plans Compliance Resolution System, which is a system of correction programs that includes the Self-Correction Program, SCP, the Voluntary Correction Program, VCP, and the Audit Closing Agreement Program, Audit CAP. Which programs to use? And its cost depends on the nature of the business's error and when it's discovered. The SCP is the easiest and least costly to use, and Audit CAP is the most complicated and expensive. So for more information on this, you can go visit the IRS website at irs.gov/retirement/article/O, ID equals 96907,00.html. Or just look it up on the site. It'll be easier. Just an example of it, though. If the company with a SEP or a simple IRA discovers an operational failure, for example, it did not allow an employee to participate when it really should have, within 2 years of the failure's occurrence, it can be simply corrected under the SCP by making up the contribution amount. There are no forms to be or fees to be paid. So take note, though, once the IRS discovers an error, correction becomes more complicated and costly. So you want to discover it. You don't want them to do it. And how about reclassifying workers? Employees or employers who incorrectly label employees as independent contractors continue to be liable for employment taxes on their wages. Now, these taxes include income tax, withholding, Social Security, Medicare, which is FICA taxes, the employer share and the employee share, even though not withheld from the wages, and the federal unemployment tax, the FUTA tax, as well as the penalties and interest on all of these taxes. So the fix here, Section 3509 of the tax code creates an easy way for employers who have misclassified their workers to correct the situation and limit their tax exposure to a reduced amount for the employee's share of the FICA and federal income tax that should have been withheld. To qualify for relief, the employer must get every affected employee to sign Form 4669, Statement of Payments Received, which shows that the employee's income has been reported and taxes attributable to it have been paid. The employer then attaches forms to Form 4670, Request for Relief from Payment of Income Tax Withholding, to request this relief and files the forms with the IRS. Well, the fallback position, even if an employer cannot use that Section 3509 relief described that I told you about, no employment taxes will be owed by the business for misclassified workers if the safe harbor rule in the Revenue Act of 1978 is met, and the employer must have filed Form 1099 miscellaneous for every worker earning $600 or more, had a reasonable basis for not treating workers as employees, such as a long-standing industry practice, prior ruling of a court decision, or a past IRS audit with no employment tax assessment for worker classification. And then finally, treated all similar workers as independent contractors. Now, more details about this can be found in IRS publication 1976, Independent Contractor or Employee, at the IRS website at www.irs.gov. You know what? It's very, very complicated. You want to make sure that what you're doing is checking with a licensed professional. This is not the time to try and play games to see what's going on. Now, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, what I want to do is I want to talk to you about an oddity in the news. In this particular case, it's California is targeting dairy cows to combat global warming. And I'm going to tell you about that right after these brief messages, so don't go away, folks.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 888-866-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And we're out at the dairy, by the way. It's 3:49 p.m. Pacific time, and it's 65 degrees. It's on its way down to 42 degrees. If you happen to be listening to us on our globally syndicated network and you're in London, England, it's 28 degrees, and it's hazy. And if you're in Vienna, Austria, it's 36 degrees, and there's some light snow blowing. So, kind of keep that in mind for what's going on. But right now, I already let you know that we were on the farm. California is targeting dairy cows to combat global warming. Boy, you know what? Somebody's gone nuts. California is taking its fight against global warming to the farm. The nation's leading agricultural state is now targeting greenhouse gases produced by dairy cows and other livestock. Despite strong opposition from farmers, Governor Jerry Brown signed legislation in September that, for the first time, regulates heat-trapping gases from livestock operations and landfills. Yeah, are you laughing? I guess. Cattle and other farm animals are major sources of methane and greenhouse gas, many times more potent than carbon dioxide as a heat-trapping gas. Methane is released when they belch, pass gas, and make manure. Yeah, you know what? I mean, think, just think about it. I can't even think. Yeah, it just chokes you up, doesn't it? Sure it does. You know what? Here's the thing. If we can reduce emissions of methane, we can really help slow global warming, said Ryan McCarthy, a science advisor for the California Air Resources Board, which is drawing up rules to implement the new law. Now, livestock are responsible for 14.5% of human-induced greenhouse gas emissions, with beef and dairy production accounting for the bulk of it, according to a 2013 United Nations report. Now, since the passage of its landmark global warming law in 2006, California has been reducing carbon emissions from cars, trucks, homes, and factories while boosting production of renewable energy. In the nation's largest milk-producing state, the new law aims to reduce methane emissions from dairies and livestock operations to 40% below the 2013 levels by 2030, McCarthy said. State officials are developing the regulations which take effect in 2024. I mean, are you getting tired of drinking milk? Are you tired of eating steaks and having hamburgers? I mean, for Pete's sake, how are they going to regulate a cow? What are they going to do? They're going to fine you? They're going to put out air things? Well, it says we expect that this package and everything that we're doing on climate does show an effective model forward for others, McCarthy said. Dairy farmers say that the new regulations will drive up costs when they're already struggling with 5 years of drought, low milk prices, and rising labor costs. They're also concerned about a newly signed law that'll boost overtime pay for farm workers. It just makes it more challenging. We're continuing to lose dairies. Dairies are moving out of the state and to places where these costs don't exist, said Paul Souza, Director of Environmental Services for Western United Dairymen. The dairy industry could be forced to move production to states and countries with fewer regulations, leading to higher emissions globally, Souza said. We think it's very foolish for the state of California to be taking this position, said Rob Vanderhoevel, General Manager for the Milk Producers Council. A single state like California is not going to make a meaningful impact on the climate. Regulators are looking for ways to reduce so-called enteric emissions, methane produced by bovine digestive systems. That could eventually require changes to what cattle actually eat. But the biggest target is dairy manure, which accounts for about a quarter of the state's methane emissions. State regulators want more farmers to reduce emissions with methane digesters, which capture methane from manure in large storage tanks and convert the gas into electricity. There's a shock for you. How about this? The state has set aside $50 million to help dairies set up digesters, but farmers say that that's not nearly enough to equip the state's roughly 1,500 dairies. New Hope Dairy, which has 1,500 cows in Sacramento County, installed a $4 million methane digester in 2013 thanks to state grants and partnerships with California Biogas LLC, which operates the system to generate renewable power for the Sacramento Municipal Utility District. Co-owner Arlen Van Groningen, a third-generation farmer, says he couldn't afford one if he had to buy it and run it himself. The bottom line is it's going to negatively impact the economics of the California dairy industry, said Van Groningen, state of the new law. In the dairy business, the margins are so slim that something like this will force us out of the state. State officials say that they're committed to making sure that the new regulations work for farmers and the environment. There's a real opportunity here to get very significant emissions reductions at fairly low cost and actually in a way that can bring economic benefits to farmers, Ryan said. You know what? Somebody has got their head someplace where it shouldn't be. You know, if you really believe that you're going to be able to regulate the methane gas that's being passed by bovines or by cattle, you must be thinking something else. And if you have forgotten how much agriculture and the dairy business means to the economy of the state of California, or the United States for that matter, you have another thing coming. You really, really want to do that? I honestly don't think so. In any event, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to be with our own Dr. Wireless, Joel Saltzman. We'll be talking about new wireless technology, and you're not going to want to miss that. It's always interesting. We're going to also encourage you to get our app. Just go to your app store, search Robert Cardoza Live, and it'll pop up. Just download it. It's absolutely free. You can listen to us 24/7 anytime you want, or you can even chat with us if we're broadcasting live like we are right now. So keep that in mind. And we'll be right back after these brief messages. Do not go away.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, & Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, & Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, & Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 3:59 p.m. Pacific time. It's still 65 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. It's on its way down to 43 degrees. But you know what? If you're in Wichita, Kansas, where our own Sean LaFave is at, it's 47 degrees and clear. And you know what? If you're dipping your feet, your little toes in the mighty blue Pacific in Torrance, California, it is 64 degrees and it is clear. And I doubt very much in this weather if our own Dr. Wireless has gotten his toes wet. Hey, you sitting out there, Dr. Wireless?
Dry toes and all. Yes, I am. How are you, Robert?
I am good. Happy Thanksgiving to you. I didn't get to talk to you. I sent you a message. I hope you had a great time.
I did, and I hope you and your family did as well.
Oh yeah, it's one of my favorite holidays. I just love Thanksgiving. We all get together and overeat and gain weight, and we can justify it because it's only once a year.
That's right. Gotta love it.
So listen, I took a couple of weeks off for the holidays, and my wife and I just really enjoyed it. You would think that Thanksgiving wouldn't warrant that, but you know what? I just kind of felt like we were going to get broken up in the middle. We were having some issues going on, so decided to do the best of archives. Kept everybody on the same day, but you know, it felt so strange when I started broadcasting again this last Monday. I got about a half hour into the show, and I was losing my voice.
Well, that's because you're out of practice.
Yeah. So, you know, speaking of practice, I'm guessing that in the last couple of weeks, a couple of things may have happened with new wireless technology in the news.
Oh, my God. It's been absolutely crazy. As you know, I've been doing this since 1990, and everything in wireless changes except one thing, and that is from Black Friday until the first of the year, all heck breaks loose. The carriers go crazy. They compete. They offer these deals that are good for a day. They're good for 2 days. They make us jump through hoops. But anyhow, there's some new ones that were just announced. Let me tell you about what your users just missed.
Okay.
T-Mobile is offering a deal. Get 2 lines. They give you 2 free lines. Get 2 unlimited lines for $120. They're giving you 2 free lines included. On top of that, they were giving free iPhone 7s for trade-ins of 6S's and 6s. Pretty good deal. Verizon also giving free iPhones with the trades. All of the carriers started doing that. I think Verizon started it again. All of the carriers were offering the free iPhone 7 if you traded in a 6S. Some of them were offering the 6. They're offering $400, I think, on I think it was $399 or something for the 5S.
Really?
But there were some very good deals. Now T-Mobile has a deal where they're offering $200 per user cash. I think it's a credit card. So a family of 4, you're getting an $800 cash kickback.
Wow.
Pretty crazy. Verizon has a deal that ends today. I've been going nuts trying to get these in. If you've got any users that are interested, I could probably still get them in. Business accounts will get a $250 instant credit. Well, not instant. It can take 2 to 3 months, but $250 per line business poured in credit.
Joel,
so new lines are pouring in.
Joel, yeah. 2 to 3 months is a long way from instant.
Well, you know, the alternative, Robert, generally the way T-Mobile does this, and I was getting to them, I have deals with T-Mobile right now offering free devices, or the K7 LG is free. But the way they do it, it takes 24 months to get it for free because they give you a credit each month.
Oh, you're
whole after 24 months. So 3 months seems pretty darn instant to me.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I misunderstood what it was you were saying. So basically, they keep giving you the credit against your bill, and at the end, if you've had that that service for the 3 months, then you got it, right?
Right. Let's say the device retails for $200. What they're going to do is give you a $200 credit, so they charge you the $2 and make you whole.
Gotcha.
So they give you the credit back each month, and that's the incentive, so you don't bail.
That makes sense. That is a good deal.
Yeah, they all have specific programs going, but right now there's never been a better time to bust a move to a new carrier. Their rates are super, super competitive. The equipment pricing is very competitive. There's all kinds of free Android deals out there. I'm waiting for the new round of iPhone deals. But bottom line is this: if you're a Verizon user, you can get another $250 not instant, but credit over 2 to 3 months billing cycle. That's not too bad.
No, not at all.
That's on a month-to-month, no contract deal. So, they want your business. So all kinds of great stuff going on aside from great carrier deals. And anybody who wants information regarding these carrier deals, best thing to do is blast me an email, joel@drwireless.com, and just tell me which carrier you're interested in and what's the latest deal, because these things are just changing too fast for me to even put on my website.
Yeah, you know what? And I'm guessing that the time of the year just bombards you because every company has got deals. They're trying to swing everything in this time of year, and they're all offering something that sounds really great. It's an opportunity. If they're giving away phones, for Pete's sake, and they're giving away all these extra lines, if you ever wanted to get a whole ahead of what would I call it, a superior smartphone, which would, and I think in terms of iPhone when I'm doing that, this would be the time to make the switch.
It's a fantastic time to make the switch because it's never going to get better. What happens after the first of the year, things stabilize and they don't get competitive usually until probably until the second quarter. Yeah. And then dads and grads, during that period, Father's Day, Mother's Day, things will start up again. But this time of year, traditionally, since I've started doing this, always has been the craziest as far as getting the best deals and getting the best rates. So anyhow, I am posting all this stuff on our Facebook page, on our website. I'm trying to keep up with it. It's a little tricky because it changes so quickly. With the Thanksgiving stuff, the Black Friday stuff is like 3 days for most people, but we're business to business. So business closed down on weekends. So I basically have only Monday to put all that stuff in last week. And the carriers understand that, and they let us to extend it usually until Monday night. But it's a little nuts, but I don't mind doing it because the deals are great and everybody appreciates it.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. And the thing is, you always have been the firm that people would go to that they can expect this kind of integrity and honesty in the fact that you're going to fight to try and get them this stuff right up to the very last minute.
Well, they used to call me Robin Hood. I didn't know if that was good or bad. I had somebody say, "You're the Robin Hood of wireless," and I said, "Is that a cut down or a compliment?"
No, I think that's a compliment.
No, you steal from the rich and you give to the poor. Yeah. I go, "What do you mean I steal from the rich?" He goes, "You steal from the carriers and you give it back to the consumers. You're Robin Hood." I figured, okay, thank you.
You know what? I mean, that really is a compliment, So listen, you've talked about your Facebook page and your website a couple times, but you haven't given it out. Why don't you do that now while we're thinking about it and it's fresh?
All right, I will do that. And I have such good information up there. I'm going to talk about what we have up there. But on the Facebook page, it's Facebook/DR Wireless. And then I also have on our website, www.drwireless.blog. I have a lot of this information. But just to give you a summary of what we're going to talk about, I've got a special tool up there for Gmail account folks that will help you get rid of I don't know if you've heard about Gooligan. It's a new malware virus that's affecting Gmail.
Oh, no, but I do use Gmail, so talk about it, will you?
Everybody uses Gmail, and everybody should know about this. So when you get a chance, you should definitely go to our site. You can click on this and get the tool. But it's a free tool, and it will show you if you're infected with this.
And what does it actually? What does it actually do, Joel? Not the tool, but the virus.
I think it gets into your contacts. Let me see exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Let me get exactly. I know Cybersecurity Checkpoint are the folks who discovered it, and what it does, I believe, it steals email addresses. Let me see here if I can get more info. Discovered a new piece of Android malware called Gooligan that's able to steal email addresses. More than 1 million Google accounts connected to older Android versions are at risk. But there's a tool you can use to see if you're one of them. So it's going to be probably folks using the older Androids that are going to be most susceptible to this.
Ah, gotcha. So it's not.
You're an iPhone user, so forget about it.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say, but then I also am using Gmail. I have it come through to my desktop, which it could get me that way, right?
Don't think you can get it that way because it looks like it's strictly an Android situation.
I see. Gotcha. I feel a lot better now, Joel.
Good.
So I'll take 2 aspirin. I'll take 2 aspirin and call you in the morning.
That would have been my prescription for you. So you nipped it in the bud. I also have some great info, Robert, on the new iPhone 8. Just posted it, and this is the latest scoop from our favorite analyst. I know that we've talked about Ming. Mm-hmm. This guy works for one of these leading security firms, Ming Chi Kuo, and this guy is the best Apple analyst in the world. He nails it. For the last 5 years, I've been listening to this guy predict what's coming, and he knows more than the engineers, or maybe he knows an engineer, but every time he tells me something's happening, it happens. And he's just made some predictions. I don't know if they say it's a massive Apple leak. He always seems to be the guy it gets leaked to, but we have that up on our Facebook/DR Wireless site. Real interesting stuff. We also have something for Android users. You've heard of Android 7.0 Nougat? Mm-hmm. That's the new iOS for them. Well, there's a special update that's going to bring all kinds of functionality to Samsung Galaxy S7 users. So anybody using an S7 might want to check that out. Pretty good news. And here's one that shocked me. Samsung shares soared to a record high.
Samsung shares? Really?
That's the last company that I thought would have shares that were soaring to a record high. I know T. Boone Pickens used to say, buy when everybody sells and sell when everybody buys. But, you know, in lieu of the Note 7 issues and exploding washing machines, I was shocked to see this.
Yeah, I mean, I
don't know what they're giving away. They must be doing something.
Yeah, that doesn't hardly make any sense at all.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Yeah. I thought that was very peculiar.
Let me ask you.
I don't know.
Let me ask you this, Joel. On your site, do you have a Q&A section in your site that people can easily search particular subjects that they want to look at on your site?
You know, I don't. What I did in lieu of that, I used to have a FAQs for all the carriers. I think I still do have, maybe under roaming or a couple. I used to have it for all the carriers, which is too much info. What I ended up doing is on our front page, I put a little chat section. So anybody who's got a question, you know, can just chat, ask me the question, give them the answer. It just got so overwhelming with 5 carriers and 30 brands of manufacturers of equipment, and I just didn't want to overwhelm people with too many questions and answers. I find that most of the carriers do such a good job with the frequently asked questions that I'll usually put up their link if I see something that I think is good.
That's probably a smart thing to do.
So, in answer to your question, I try to put up a lot of information. I don't do it in that format. I have our blog, which covers tons of information. And it really depends. Certain carriers, we do have frequently asked questions. But there are so many of them, and the plans change and the questions change. It's hard to keep up with.
Yeah, I'll bet. I'll bet.
So I always tell people, if they got a question, ask me personally. I'm not that busy where I can't answer.
So, are you using your satellite phone more than usual?
Well, the last 3 days, yes, just because I've had to give a few demos, and I'm glad you segued into that, because the program to get the free $500 satellite phone was extended to the end of this year. I don't know if it's going to be extended into next year, but this is such a good product. These things are $500. We're talking about the Global Star GSP 1700, small satellite phone. When the antenna's down, I can put it in my jeans pocket, front pocket. So it's very small. But I'm not an accountant, but I would bet, if you know, you're closer to an accountant than me, you may know this, but I'm going to guess that if you bought a satellite phone, and the way it works is it's actually free if you buy a 1-year plan. And the plan is $65 a month. It ends up being about $780 for the year. But I'm going to guess that that's a total write-off. If you call this thing, a business disaster preparedness tool, I mean, you can write off your copy machine, your scanner. Why not be able to write off your satellite phone? It's an integral business tool, for disaster preparedness. I'm betting is it not a write-off?
Yes, it is.
That's a write-off?
Yes, it is. You can actually capitalize that because it's not that much money. And the truth is that you can either write it off as preparedness, or if you happen to be a traveling executive, you can write it off because you need to be in contact with your company.
Where cell phones won't work.
Right. Because you know what? All of us have cell phones that at some place they don't work.
Absolutely. I get people calling me all day long, from places from Ojai. I mean, you don't really need to be in Pascagoula, Mississippi, or the Buffalo side of Catalina. There's plenty of areas in the mountains, the oceans, and, just dead spots, terrestrial, where there's issues. But I mention this because I keep mine in my glove compartment. I hope nobody rips me off now, but to me, I always keep mine in the car. You never know when you're going to need it. And I want to know that if there's an emergency, my car is usually close by.
Yeah.
And I have a backup plan. And thank God I've only had to use it during exotic travel. When I go deep sea fishing, certain places I go to the mountains, I have used it, but I just use it to check, make sure it's working. But I would recommend this to anybody who doesn't have one of these. It's a great business tool. It's a great tool for exotic travel. And I can tell you, there aren't enough people out there that have them where it gets busy when there's an emergency. So, as you know, when the earth shakes, it's hard to get a signal through on a landline or a cell phone. Oh,
that's for sure. And let me ask you this: when you're using that sat phone, can you really tell the difference other than the antenna? Can you really tell the difference in the quality of the communication other than from like my iPhone?
Yes, you can. And the reason is, and I always try to set expectations accordingly. With satellite phones, it's not terrestrial. You're not talking about a cell site that's sitting in one place and not moving. You're talking about a constellation of satellites that's constantly orbiting the Earth. And that's why a 3-minute call on a satellite phone is officially considered a completed call, whether you drop it or not. Because 3 minutes on a sat phone is a pretty long time when you consider that these satellites are moving constantly. Sound quality is kind of like 2G or 3G. It's not digital crystal clear. Mm-hmm. Like a cell phone. I can usually tell. It kind of sounds like my Vonage phone.
Yeah. A little on the hollow side or the tinny side.
Exactly. But hollow and tinny beats the hell out of nothing when nothing else works.
Especially if you're in an emergency situation and you need help.
Absolutely.
You bet.
It works fine.
Yeah.
So, I've used it, not for emergencies, but I've had clients use it for emergencies. They love them. Never had anybody, want to turn one back in. So
well, for your first year, that winds up at a right around $25 a month. And matter of fact, less than that. And boy, if you're talking about security, That's the way to do it. If you're talking about, a $500 phone and whatever, and $700 and something for the service, and you wind up getting the phone for free, you might as well say you pay $25 a month for the whole shooting match for the first year. That's a pretty good insurance.
65 cents a minute.
Yeah.
Global roaming, 65 cents a minute. That's not a lot to pay on that program. And what a lot of my clients do, Robert, who get these things more for disaster preparedness and really don't envision using it a ton, what they do is month 12, they move down from the $65 a month plan to the $40 a month plan. They go from 100 minutes to 40 minutes. But 40 minutes a month, if you're using it for emergencies, if you can save $25 a month, that's $300 a year.
Well, I got to tell you, if you're a businessman and you ever go on cruises, because my wife and I have gone on many, many, many cruises, and there were times when
$6 a minute, baby.
More than that. When we first started going, and if I would have business emergencies, it was $50 a minute.
Holy crap.
They were
you're a pioneer then. Before Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was long before Wi-Fi. I want to tell you, and when you have to do that, you don't have any choices because the ship shore didn't work worth a darn.
And it costs. It's expensive.
Yeah.
Well, I do get people who I rent these phones out weekly, for only $35 a week plus, 99 cents a minute airtime.
Uh-huh.
And I get people that take it on the cruise ships.
Yeah.
And I always tell them, I get a deposit from them because I always tell them, look, if they confiscate this thing, and I've only had that happen to one guy. I don't know if he went to Cuba or Iran or somewhere, but they confiscated his phone. But I tell these guys who go on the cruise ships, look, if you're paying 65 cents a minute, and you're renting this thing out to your buddies for $2 a minute, and the captain finds out, he's not going to be real happy because you're taking money out of his pocket. He may take your phone.
I was going to ask you, why on earth would they confiscate your phone? But now I understand where you're going with it.
Revenue.
Yeah. Hey, listen, we got to take a short break. When we come back, let's give out that contact information one more time, and then we'll continue the show. How's that sound?
Sounds good to me.
We'll be right back with our own Dr. Wireless, Joel Saltzman. Don't go away.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39. A complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:25 p.m. Pacific time. It's still 64 degrees on its way to 43 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. And if you're listening to our show on our globally syndicated network and you're in Madrid, Spain, well, you know what? It's 52 degrees and mostly cloudy. And if you're in Tokyo, Japan, it is 45 degrees with light rain. You know what? And it's still 64 degrees in Torrance, California. So you know what, Dr. Wireless? You better just try and stay dry.
I'm trying to stay dry, but it's a little bit nippy.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. You know what? I didn't think winter was ever going to get here, but now when the sun does come out, I'm kind of thankful.
Yeah, me too. Anyhow, I don't know if you heard about this, Robert, but I thought it was pretty interesting. The Russian government has just banned iOS, Windows OS, and Android OS.
Really?
What do you think of that?
Well, I think that Putin's nervous about something.
That's funny you mentioned that because, somebody speculated why this happened, and they said probably not because Vladimir Putin was as outraged as the rest of us when Nokia axed their N9 model.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, Nokia was one of my favorite smartphone manufacturers. They were just too far ahead of their time. We made one model, the E61, it was a BlackBerry before Black. I mean, it was just phenomenal. And they've had their misses. Nokia was I thought was brilliant. I liked their old OS. They had some good smartphone OS, and then they came out with something called Sailfish. I don't know if you remember. Nokia and Intel had formed a partnership, and they came out with a platform called MEEGO, MEEGO.
No, I don't remember that.
Didn't last very long. It just kind of never got off the ground. But Russia just decided this is their new platform. So they're bringing back this old Nokia platform from the ashes. They're trying to talk some of these other countries, South Africa, China, and several other countries into using this. They don't like the idea of using different technologies that the West has too much influence on. Yeah,
they don't want to be subject to their own hacking.
Exactly, and they figured out how to hack our stuff. They're going to use their own stuff, so we better start trying to figure out how to hack Sailfish. Is all I can think of.
Yeah. You know what?
So Sailfish is EOS, and Russian government folks will be using it. All of their departments are going to be using it shortly.
Well, you ever think, Joel, think back about how embryonic this entire technology is? It wasn't that many years ago when they first came out with the cell phones that you kept them in a briefcase. They were the size of a military walkie-talkie, for gosh sakes. And that hasn't really been all that many years, has it?
No, it hasn't. I actually posted something on my Facebook page just recently as a joke. and it was a certificate from Motorola that certified me as a technology expert. And it was in 1992, and I think it was a Microtech Lite technology expert. And you look at this Microtech Lite, and it weighs about 14 ounces. Current phones are like 4 ounces.
Yeah.
So it kind of looks cumbersome, and this is 3 or 4 years after the brick and all those really big ones.
Yeah.
So we've come a long way, actually, when you look at where we've been and where we're going.
Oh yeah, just
pretty astonishing.
So and it's. You just can't even think about it. I remember, I think I may have told you this story before. I had quite an extensive library in my home, and one of the books, and when you do this, you got to put books in the doggone thing. So I went out and I bought all these books and tried to do all this stuff. And one of the books I got was a book that was written by Bill Gates, and it was called The Road Ahead. I don't know if you've ever heard of this book or not, but it's an old book, and it's an easy read in an afternoon. But it's a hardcover. And I sit there and I'm reading this book, and I'm just fascinated by it because Bill Gates had written this thing, and he's talking about things that do not exist yet in his mind. He's dreaming about them, theorizing about them. But while I'm reading that, those things that he was thinking about, dreaming about, actually have come to fruition. They actually exist now. And it was just fascinating at the short time span within which all of this developed. And I just can't hardly imagine what the next, 1, 3, 5, 10 years has to offer us in technology.
Well, let me give you an idea.
Okay.
I'm going to segue into something real interesting. You may have heard about this, but I'm guessing you didn't because it just happened this afternoon. Our friends at YouTube, have you heard this yet? Our friends at YouTube are now streaming live 4K.
Oh, no, I didn't hear that. No, I didn't hear that.
Okay, what is going on right now is this. YouTube is battling Facebook over who's going to rule live streaming. Right now, what's going on with all the wireless carriers is everybody's offering, not everybody, but 3 out of 4 carriers are offering unlimited data. 2 out of 4 carriers are offering unlimited data, Sprint and T-Mobile. But what they're doing is they're offering 4G LTE unlimited, but at 480p resolution. The rest of the carriers are offering 1080p plus resolution.
Wow.
So what that means is 480p is DVD quality. It's certainly way better than VCRs and all the, analog quality. Mm-hmm. But what's happening is this. If you drop $900, almost $1,000 for a device that's capable of playing back 4K, 1080p, let alone 4K, why would you want to be limited to 480p?
You wouldn't.
Now, you wouldn't. And here's the thing. T-Mobile and Sprint really aren't advertising this 480p limitation because it really hasn't been a limitation. But I've been telling my clients, look, if you're investing in a device that's capable, if you're taking the free $100, $200 Android smartphone, it supports 720p. So it's no big deal. But if your device is 1080p or even 4K, why would you, it's like taking a shower with a raincoat on to get a device like this and to be limited to only 480p.
Yeah.
So this is why I'm telling people what the difference is, and my website talks about this extensively, because the carriers, it's in their 4-point font, nobody reads about it. Everybody wants their unlimited data. They don't want just 2G data. They want 4G LTE data, and they think that's all they need to know.
So does this?
And they need to know 2 things. They need to know, number one, what level they can get that 4G unlimited data before they're capped, and that's 22 to 28 gig, depending on which carrier. And they need to know if they're getting 480p or 1080p.
Oh, yeah.
So anyhow, I mentioned that because it hasn't been that significant to have, the 1080p or the 4K, but now with YouTube doing this, Facebook is going to do it, and everybody else is. Up to now, it's only been when you recorded 4K with your camera phone, you could play it back in 4K, but now with the broadcasters starting to broadcast 4K, stunning difference.
This is effective actually Barry's Periscope, right?
You dropped out there for a second.
I said this then in effect Barry's Periscope. Periscope is out of it now, and it's going to wind up being Facebook and YouTube that are going to be battling this thing out.
Oh, absolutely. And everybody's going to be streaming 4K. Here's the analogy. Go to Costco and compare the pricing of the devices, the big screens that are 4K versus the ones that are 1080 versus the ones that are 720. You'll see there's a huge difference.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm contending if you're going to buy a phone, it's similar to buying one of these big screen TVs. If you're going to spend hundreds of dollars more for this functionality, how dare your wireless carrier cripple you so you can't use it?
Well, that's and that's what is going to make the consumer change. If I have this capability and I can't use it because of the carrier I'm using, then I am going to look for a carrier that's going to let me utilize the full extent of the electronics that I own.
Well, here the carriers know that too, Robert, and that's why Sprint will charge each user on your account an extra $20 to bump you up from 480 to 1080 to 4K. Same thing on T-Mobile, $25 per user. So people on these plans that are 480p who find out about this don't have to change their plans. They just have to buy this a la carte feature. So it's not the end of the world, but I like to let our clients know when they're choosing their plans, to be able to select the right plan from the get-go and to know about everything, not just what's available today, but what might be available in 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, well, that's the thing. And you're actually telling our listeners all the time, every week, about these the technological advances and changes that are taking place. In every week, there are just an astronomical number of things that you bring into the news and into the media, and there are all these changes that take place so that the things that we think are the greatest and the best things today, next week have already changed.
Exactly. And I'm going to throw you another bone here. And I believe this, and you're going to hear it from me today, and we'll, in a year from now, when I think it'll come to fruition, we can talk about it. But I sincerely feel that Microsoft is going to come out again with a Windows Surface smartphone. They've tried it a few times in the past. They've used different manufacturers. Nokia has gone out of business. They used them initially. They've used a few different companies, but I really think that they're going to put some attention next year into making the perfect smartphone. I think they're going to come out with something that's going to rival Apple. I don't think they'll ever have as many apps as Apple, but I think they can potentially make a better product than the Apple iPhone. And it only makes sense.
But does that include the security protection?
Yes, I think they're going to come. I don't know if they're going to be as secure as Apple. That's something they've never been able to do. But I'm sure that those are areas they're working on. Mm-hmm. But I really sincerely feel that and we've talked about this in the past. The Windows 10 Touch Tile platform to me has always been far more suited for a smartphone than a laptop. Mm-hmm. So I sincerely feel, and not to mention, there's no reason that it shouldn't sync as flawlessly as an iPhone syncs with a Mac or a PC. There's no reason the Windows phones wouldn't do the same. So I just believe that we're going to have a new platform. I believe that platform is going to surpass Android. Whether it overtakes Apple, I don't know. But I really feel that Microsoft's going to come out. I mean, look at what they've done with the Surface 3 and 4. I had a Surface 2. It was a piece of garbage. Mm-hmm. I hated it. The 3 and 4 are fantastic. And I really feel that it's time to come out with a smartphone for them. And I think by the end of the fourth quarter of 2017, I think I'm going to be selling smartphones, Windows Surface smartphones that are going to be as good, if not better, than iPhones. Wow,
that's an exciting thing. Hey, listen, give out those web contact information one more time, then we have to say goodbye till next Wednesday.
All right, that always happens. Anyhow, everything we've talked about today is available at www.facebook.com/DR Wireless. Also have this stuff on our website, www.drwireless.com. And anybody with questions can contact me right off the bottom of the website, or they can email me, joel@drwireless.com.
Hey, Joel, fantastic show. Glad to have you back. You sound terrific. I was going through Dr. Wireless withdrawals, and now I've got a good vaccination that should last me for a week.
Excellent. Glad to hear it.
All right.
Maybe another one next week.
All right.
Have a great weekend.
You too. Stay safe, stay happy. Keep everybody around you happy because they're with you. And the rest of you folks, do not go away. When we come back, we're going to be doing the birthdays for the day, the secret daily teaching for your life, the Harvard business tip of the day, and interesting but useless facts. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:42 p.m. Pacific time. Currently 64 degrees. It hasn't moved much. It's on its way down to 43 degrees. But if you're listening to us on our globally syndicated network and you're in Sydney, Australia, well, it is currently 77 degrees and it's clear. And if you're in Auckland, New Zealand, it's 68 degrees and mostly cloudy. But you know what? Let's talk about the Harvard business tip of the day. And the management tip today is: get more out of one-on-one meetings with your direct reports. You know, good managers know it's important to regularly check in with each of their employees, but too often one-on-one meetings feel hurried and disorganized. To make the most of these meetings, be more deliberate about how you structure those meetings, and first schedule them. It doesn't matter how often they occur, every week, every other, or once a month. But they should be repeating events on your calendar and honor these time slots. Don't get in the habit of canceling, which signals to your employee that you don't value her time. Make sure that there's an agenda. Ask your direct report for a synopsis of what she'd like to talk about before the meeting. You should do the same thing for her, or him for that matter. When in the room together, be present. Turn off your phone, close your office door, start the meeting by complimenting your colleague on something that she or he does well. Then be curious. Listen to your colleague's concerns and provide feedback and ideas on how he or she might solve problems. Always close the meeting with a note of appreciation, too. Words of affirmation can mean a lot, not just for them, but it says something about you, too. Well, you know what? It's time for our secret daily teaching for your life. It's all about a positive mental attitude. I generally give you this whole litany about you're in control and you decide and all those things, but it's the truth. You do decide what's going to go on in your life, whether you're going to be a success or a failure, rich or poor. You know what? You're going to decide how people feel about you and how they feel when they're around you. You do it every morning. When you get up, you look in the mirror and you say, wow, I'm going to have a fantastic day today. Not, ugh, it's another day, right? Yeah. Well, you know what? The teaching for today is focus inside the joy. Think thoughts of joy. Feel joy. See yourself in joy. As you connect to the joy inside you more often, your whole world will shift to reflect that joy. The universe will move people, circumstances, and events to deliver joy to you because you are magnetizing joy. You know what? It sounds funny, right? But it's absolutely true. You gotta practice it. Practice what I preach. You'll be glad you did. Well, you know what today is. Sure you do. Today is Wednesday, November the 30th. And it's somebody's birthday. Okay, you know what? Every day we have some surprise birthdays. We enjoy the ones that we're doing, and today's no different than any of those other days. Here's the thing: this person was born in 1936 and passed away in 1989. Came to prominence in the 1960s and has remained a symbol of the youth rebellion and radical activism of that era. Happy birthday, Abby Hoffman. And here's a guy most of us know. Born in 1965, is an American comedian, actor, film director, and producer. He's the son of actors. He's the son of actors Jerry Stiller and Ann Mira. Happy birthday, Ben Stiller. And finally, born in 1982, an actress. Her most prominent role is as Kim Bauer in the American action thriller television series 24. Happy birthday, Alicia Cuthbert. And how about this? You ever wonder about what was going on today in history? Well, wonder no more. Sit down, get comfortable. I'm going to tell you what happened in history on November the 30th, and in this case, 1934. The steam locomotive Flying Scotsman becomes the very first to officially exceed 100 miles an hour. And on this date in 1940, Lucille Ball marries, Desi Arnaz in Greenwich, Connecticut. And then finally, in 1993, U.S. President Bill Clinton signs the Brady Handgun Violence Prevention Act, the Brady Bill. He signs that into law. Should have happened a long time before that. Well, you know what? Our quote for today comes from Anne Morrow Lindbergh, and Anne says, "Him that I love, I wish to be free, even from me." Wow. Think about that. That's profound. Well, let's talk about those interesting but useless facts. We've got a number of them. Let's get a couple of minutes, so let's do it. Did you know that the word lithologica describes the state of not being able to remember the word that you want? Well, you might not even be able to pronounce it at that rate. How about this? Did you know that your foot is the most common body part bitten by insects? I don't even want to get into that. But I can tell you this. Cyndi Lauper had dyslexia and failed every subject in school. And look at the success that she became. And you know what? Did you know that lions are the second largest big cat species in the world? Right behind tigers. Yeah, that's interesting. How about this? Did you know that the most densely populated state in the United States is New Jersey, with over 1,000 people per square mile? The least densely populated state is Alaska, with 1 person per square mile. Give that some thought. Yeah. How about this? Did you know that Boy George used to go out with his drummer? Yeah, well, okay. Anyway, how about this one? Ella Rose Rieschel was born in Cincinnati, Ohio on August the 9th, 10. That would be 8, 9, 10 at 11:12 p.m. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's kind of interesting. Weird, huh? Well, let me leave you with this. The many sites that represent the Chinese city of Beijing were built by foreigners. The Forbidden City was built by the Mongols, the Temple of Heaven by the Manchurians. And with that, we're going to take our last break, and when we come back, we're going to do our tribute to the late, great Paul Harvey and the rest of the story. In today's story, the lost years of Liu Xin-kun. And I'm going to tell you all about that right after these brief messages. So please, don't go away. We'll be right back.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful in visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400 4900, or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And it's time for our tribute to the late, great Paul Harvey and the rest of the story. You know, the American Broadcasting Company calls him the biggest voice in America. He's Paul Harvey, and each week, millions of listeners, viewers, and readers were awaiting his unraveling of the mysteries of events and the lives of people, past and present. Heard on over 1,400 radio stations, seen on 110 television stations, and read in 300 newspapers. The rest of the story has for years been exploring the byways of history with revelations that are intriguing, amusing, and surprising. Well, the story from Paul today is the lost years of Liu Cixun. And you know what? It was April 1958, the first international Tchaikovsky competition. Van Cliburn was winner that year. Second prize was awarded to a slender 6'1", 19-year-old Chinese pianist named Liu Cixun. Van Cliburn gained immediate worldwide recognition. Li Cixun returned to China, forgotten by the Western world. What eventually happened to the young Chinese pianist is almost too terrible to imagine, yet it happened. And the lost years of Li Cixun comprise the rest of the story. After Chinese pianist Li Cixun earned second prize in the Tchaikovsky competition, he returned to his homeland. By the mid-1960s, he was an established concert artist in China. But trouble was brewing, a so-called cultural revolution headed by Madame Ching, the wife of Mao Zedong. A purge is what it was. Anything and everything of Western influence had fallen into disfavor. Western music was also a victim of this revolutionary wrath, and so pianist Li Cixun, for refusing to renounce the music that he loved since childhood, was deemed an enemy of the people and imprisoned. Locked away where no one could see, he was beaten mercilessly. From the assault, a bone in his right forearm was cracked. For the next 6 years, pianist Li Cixun languished in a tiny prison cell. There was no book to read, save the teachings of Mao, no paper on which to write, and most significantly of all, there was no piano. For 6 long years, very possibly, he would be there still, had Richard Nixon not built an east-west bridge across the Pacific Ocean and opened his prison door. In the new spirit of mutual respect, an imprisoned concert pianist would have been embarrassment to the People's Republic. For the purpose of propaganda, Liu was released from jail and requested to perform in Peking with the Philadelphia Orchestra. The result was from Madame Ching, the woman who had ordered his abuse and incarceration in the first place. Could the propagandists have been so naive as to imagine a pianist could perform after 6 years without a piano? Or did they suspect that you are about to learn? You know what? For indeed, upon his release, pianist Li Cixun performed with the Philadelphia Orchestra in Peking, and extraordinarily well. After a subsequent 18 months in prison, bringing his accumulated time of incarceration to 7.5 years, he was released once more. And again, he played brilliantly. Li Cixun never returned to prison after that, although he remained the same. The political and cultural climate of his country had changed. He is at last accepted at home, at last emerging into the international limelight denied him for 21 years. That he has survived is remarkable itself. That his hands have survived, as though they had never stopped playing, is being called by musicians everywhere astounding. For when they looked Li up more than a decade ago, the cultural revolutionary stripped him of everything musical. Any of his possessions that had anything to do with music were destroyed. Even a lock of Franz Liszt's hair, won in a piano competition when Liu was 16 was burned. In prison, he was denied a piano, denied even paper which might be used to recapture the music that he had lost. Yet an invaluable something was left, Li Shikun, something which in turn produced notes of music and produced a piano keyboard in his lonely prison cell, that of which the Red Guards could not deprive the artist. For 7.5 years in a tiny prison cell, Li Shikun practiced his beloved music in his vivid, disciplined imagination on a piano no one else could see. And now you know the rest of the story. Now that's got to send chills up and down your spine, doesn't it? Sure it does. Well, stay tuned tomorrow for another Paul Harvey story. It's Search Me, I Dare You. You're not going to want to miss it. And then also on my next show, we're going to have our own Sean LaFave, and he and I will be here discussing healthcare on his segment, Geared for Wellness. I'm going to continue our tribute to the late, great Paul Harvey, as I mentioned, with the rest of the story. And then please, I'm going to ask you to tell all your friends about our show here on the RLC Broadcasting Network. They'll be glad you did. You'll be glad you did. And I most certainly will be glad you did. I'll appreciate it very much. That's our
for today. Beginning today, treat everyone you meet as if they were going to be dead by midnight. Extend them all the care, kindness, and understanding that you can muster. Your life will never be the same again. So many of our dreams at first seem impossible, then they seem improbable, and then when we summon the will, they soon become inevitable. You know, the real secret of happiness is to make others believe that they're the cause of it. Robert Cardoza Live is brought to you by blogtalkradio.com every Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Now, go out and make it a great day. Your host has been Robert Cardoza, the technical advisor, Matchstick Digital, and your executive producer, also Robert Cardoza.